One of those pedophiles is an Israeli government official who his government allowed to fly back to Israel after he had been charged in that sting operation for using technology to lure a minor for sex.
So it really shouldn't be surprising that the senior Israeli cybersecurity official didn't fly back to the United States in order to appear for his arraignment this week on Wednesday. And it's going to be difficult to get Tom Alexandrovich back to the United States in order to face the felony charges that he absolutely should be facing, because of the fact that the FBI in a sting operation caught this guy attempting to lure a 15-year-old to meet with him for sex. Now, again, this was part of a multi-week investigation that was done by local police in Las Vegas and the FBI. And they were specifically targeting, child sex predators. According to Reuters, Alexandrovich was due to be at a court in Henderson, just outside Las Vegas, on Wednesday for a felony arraignment hearing, according to court records. Local media, including the Las Vegas Review-Journal, said he skipped the hearing. By the way, I should note, and I didn't know this until a few minutes ago, it turns out that the Las Vegas Review-Journal is owned by Miriam Adelson. It's incredible. Anyway, so let me give you some more of this reporting. So Alexandrovich's lawyers argue, we had an agreement with the prosecutors here, and that Alexandrovich did not have to appear in person. That was the agreement. And here's what he told the judge, okay? This is David Chesnoff. He is the individual, the lawyer representing the alleged pedophile here, Alexandrovich. He says, quote, "The state and I had an agreement, and we informed your staff that he would not be here. I did not know the protocol that the court has." You're a lawyer, how do you not know the court's protocol? But anyway, he continues, "I'm in constant contact with Alexandrovich. I can show you my phone. Just this morning, I instructed him that he didn't have to be here because normally that's the practice that we've employed for the 45 years I've been doing this. Maybe for Israeli pedophiles, but the 7 other individuals who were caught up in this sting operation are expected to show up in person to their arraignment. But credit to the judge. And by the way, let's not miss what the attorney said here. The first few words of that statement was the state, meaning the state attorney is the person he made some sort of agreement with, allegedly. And the state attorney is the Israeli-born prosecutor who, of course, posts all sorts of disgusting stuff about Palestinians and how they all deserve to die on X and social media. So apparently there was some sort of agreement with her and the attorney representing the alleged pedophile here. So the judge noted that the district attorney's office does not have the authority to waive felony arraignment appearances, and told Alexandrovich's lawyer that your oral request without anything before the court to waive his appearance here today is hereby denied. But I think there's a little bit of a misunderstanding here because he says the state, he didn't say the district attorney. So we really need to figure out who's wheeling and dealing here. And I suspect it is in fact the state attorney. Now later, the judge also granted a request to allow Alexandrovich to participate through Zoom next week. So we'll stay on this story and see if he does in fact appear. But look, Nevada's acting US attorney, Sigal Chattah, in an X post had blamed the Clark County District Attorney's Office and state judges for not requiring Alexandrovich to surrender his passport, considering the fact that he's a flight risk. But what's really interesting is, while I definitely think that Sigal Chattah has something to do with the fact that he was able to fly back without having to worry about an arraignment in person, the Clark County District Attorney is saying some stuff that's making me go, So Clark County District Attorney Steve Wolfson has denied allegations that the defendant received special treatment, describing Alexandrovich's bail as standard or preset by the court. Under the standard bail procedure, an arrestee can post bond straight away and be released without conditions, Wolfson explained. yes, that is the case when it comes to Americans who are not a flight risk. In this case, Alexandrovich is an Israeli national and is a flight risk and should have had his passport taken away, but it wasn't. I think intentionally so. So the judge says that this alleged pervert should have no contact with minors and refrain from using dating sites as this case is adjudicated. Which, come on, Cenk. I mean, this is going to be impossible to enforce considering the fact that he is an Israeli government official currently in Israel and didn't show up in person for his arraignment.
Okay, yeah.
So go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of absurdities here and a lot of open questions. But I think that this is a binary issue. So what happens here is going to be really important from 2 points of view. One is the legal point of view, the other is the media point of view. So let me break it all down. So first of all, to Anna's point, is he a flight risk? Well, there's no bigger flight risk than a foreign government official who's charged with child sex trafficking, right? I mean, just forget Israel. Like any foreign official, have an Afghan, a Swedish guy. It doesn't really matter. He's of course going to go back to his home country. You'd be nuts to not put him in prison, right? I mean, that's the most obvious thing in the world. Like wouldn't it be super weird if the Swedish dude who was looking to rape American kids didn't go back to Sweden and was just like, oh yeah, I'll just stay here in case I go to prison for 20, 30 years. Because I'd like to help serve justice. No, he's not interested in justice. That's why he was trying to have sex with kids. So, okay, so that's obvious, okay, to anyone who isn't an Israeli defender or all of media, okay?
If you defend Israel, why would you defend this? Genuinely, just at least think strategically for once in your life. If you happen to be an avid supporter of Israel and you will support Israel any at all costs, why would you defend Israel harboring someone who tried to rape kids in the United States?
Yeah.
Don't you care about the reputation of the country you love so much?
Yeah,
it's just so stupid. It's stupid.
There's 3 different buckets there. Hold on, there's 3 different buckets there. So a lot of Israeli supporters don't defend him. Okay, to be fair to them, I've seen it online. They're like, who's this guy and why is he doing this? No, that's terrible, right? And then there are the people who say, no, it's anti-Semitic. Wait, hold on, Jesus Christ, how could this be anti-Semitic? Because their knee-jerk reaction is anything that's a criticism of Israel is anti-Semitic. And so how did they get there? Because they got to get there somehow, right? The talking point 100% of the time is anti-Semitism. It's just a question of how you get there. In this case, they get there with, oh, well, the rapist of every government would be like, oh, except now people are complaining when Israel's child rapist is let go. They're singling out Israel. And they're saying that Israel has special powers in America. Yeah, it's an anti-Semitic trope, okay? But brother, no, there is no other government official would be let go or should be let go. And it's not singling out Israel at all. It would be the reverse to say that, no, only Israeli officials should be allowed to go back and not face justice. And that's absurd. I mean, I hope none of you are saying that, but a lot of you are saying that. If you, some of the supporters of Israel, etc. Look, the idea that he shouldn't be brought back is totally indefensible. But yet, what you're gonna see is, and that's why you're seeing the sound of silence here, and that's why the media part of this is super important. But what you're gonna see is that no US government official is actually trying to bring him back. Everyone agrees. Even if you corner an Israeli supporter and go, hey guys, if you love Israel, why would you want it to guys like this to evade justice? Then it looks like Israel's getting special privileges, and then folks are gonna hate Israel. I mean, don't you get that? To Anna's point, that's like, it's pretty dumb not to realize that, right? And nevertheless, some people go, no. Israel can never be charged. No one from Israel could ever be charged. Everyone's an anti-Semite. Okay, look, then we're having a nonsense conversation, okay? So now, the US courts say, okay, you've got to do X, Y, and Z. US courts have no jurisdiction in Israel. He can do whatever the hell he likes. If he goes on dating sites, what are you gonna do about it, US courts? What are you gonna do about it? He's not even in the country. All of this is theater. All of this is absurdity. If our government was not biased in favor of Israel, we would be doing everything to get him back. Instead, here's what we're doing to get him back. Nothing, literally nothing. The judge is confused by it. He's like, I don't get it. I told him to be here in court. Where's the hard part? And now there's confusion partly because one of the papers reporting on it is owned by a massive Israel supporter whose family has given $337 million to Donald Trump and has said publicly it's so that he will support Israel. So now her junk papers theoretically reporting on this, so you have to ignore everything they say. So look, there's just not enough real reporters in the country. There needs to be a reporter there going, wait. Does he have to show up in person, or are we making special rules for Israeli citizens where they can zoom in? Because, by the way, if I'm one of the defense attorneys for the other 7 guys who were caught, who have the misfortune of being American citizens and obviously have way less rights than that Israeli government official. I mean, let's be honest, that's what's happening. That is definitively what's happening. So the Americans with less rights, I mean, I would go in and go, wait, why can't I do a Zoom? Why can't I just, you know what? I want to go to Israel too. Or I want to go to Australia. Or I want to go on vacation to Hawaii, whatever. I now want special privileges. Wait a minute, we caught you trying to rape kids. Who cares? If the Israelis allowed, why aren't I allowed? And that's a fair question, because neither one of you should be allowed. None of you should be allowed to do things like this. So Anna, the reason I say it's binary is either this guy is going to face justice or he's not. So all of the excuses that government officials can make, including the one that hates, like literally is a bigot who has publicly announced many times, the district attorney here, that she hates Palestinians, right?
The state attorney, attorney.
Sorry, state attorney, okay? And so, I mean, it's a joke. Her being involved in this case is a joke. So if she does her job, then no problem at all. But she's like, no, I helped hide the Israeli rapist. I'm from Israel and I hate Palestinians and I should be in charge of this case. And I'm gonna treat the American citizens as 100% harshly, but the Israeli citizen gets to walk. No, then get the hell out of here. You should be fired immediately.
And look, I know you're not saying this, but I just wanna give my point of view in regard to the prosecution of pedophiles or child sex predators, whether they're US citizens or disgusting sex tourists from other countries. All of them should be prosecuted as harshly as possible, as harshly as the state laws or federal laws permit. Okay, I don't want, this Israeli is getting special treatment, so I want the American pedophiles to be treated nicely. No, they're preying on kids. And look, this story was really an eye-opener for me, Cenk, because it really does reveal to me how little our government and our media cares about our own kids in our own country. Okay, they couldn't care less. I brought it up on the CNN panel. That was definitely the first time that story was ever mentioned on CNN. And get off it. No one addressed it. No one cares. And that's the thing. Either they don't care or they're terrified. They're terrified to address it. And the real question is why? Is it because he's a cybersecurity official who's been working with our NSA and our intelligence organizations? He's the one who built the so-called security dome that he's pitching to other countries, including the United States, digital security dome. Are they worried that he might try to dig up dirt on them if they report harshly on him? And that's the thing that's so great about you and I, Cenk, okay? Because we live, on screen, it might look like we live exciting lives. I live the life of a grandmother, okay? I go to work, I go home, clean as a whistle. Okay, so I'm gonna hit at him as hard as humanly possible because this is, the pinnacle of gross injustice in our country right now, that he's getting away with this. Anyway.
Yeah, so I have 2 things to add to that. First of all, I agree, but I'm gonna add a rule, okay? So your rule number 1 is they should all be treated as harshly as possible. I agree. Rule number 2 is no American should be treated with less rights and as inferior to the citizens of any other country. So,
agreed.
So the American citizens that are charged with this heinous crime should be treated super harshly, and so should the Israeli citizen. Obvious. Anyone who disagrees with that is weird, maniacal, obviously biased, and it just does, it's telling on yourself. Now, the more important thing is, Anna, because look, we could, like the Israeli supporters, some of them are against, some are for, whatever, okay? But the bottom line is, what is our American government going to do, okay? We could all have debates online, right? And so if right now mainstream media has a total wall of silence, And yeah, when you said it on CNN, Anna, there was this awkward, eerie silence. And it was, I thought at that moment, it was one of two things. Either they had never heard of it because they never hear anything anti-Israel, because it's never, ever, ever reported in mainstream media. So they might be like, what? What is this? Like, is this conspiratorial or something, right? I have no idea that Israel would do anything wrong and that the American government would unfairly be biased in favor of Israel. This sounds like a crazy conspiracy theory. So it's possible they never heard it. Or if they heard it, they're like, get off it, get off it, get off it. And that's weird. Both of those things are super weird, because right now it's not like, there's some stories where almost nobody's ever heard of it, right? And then there's a story like this where the grassroots and online media is talking a lot about it. A Republican congressman got challenged about it just recently. That's later in the show, right? So the grassroots is bubbling up, and online media is like, nope, no one should talk about it. No one will talk about it. Well, why? That's weird. There's a giant controversy that's bubbling up. Normally you would cover it, but in this case you're not. So the pro-Israel stance of American media is, best case scenario, super duper weird. I mean, look, you were on CNN, you challenged Israel what I thought was fairly mildly, right? And they seemed like aghast, like their mind was blown. They're like, oh, what do you mean? We already condemned Hamas. We're done with this topic.
Well,
like, Jesus Christ.
I want to be fair. Look, I don't think that Abby Phillips falls under that category. I think that she tones it down in my opinion, but I get the sense that she sees what's going on just based on the comments she does make. There was one person on that panel. I'm not talking
about Abby, okay? Yeah, and I hear you on that, and I'm not.
But Scott Jennings, okay? I mean, hardcore. Apparently, he's definitely a huge Israel supporter, defends Israel at any at all costs, and has never been confronted with the kinds of arguments that I was making. Those are the kinds of circles he runs around with.
No,
so
Scott
when
Jennings,
I bring up the hostages, or when he brings up the hostages and I say, okay, well, what about the West Bank? There's no hostages in the West Bank, so why is Israel raining terror on the Palestinians in the West Bank? He goes back to, I want the hostages released. Loser. Yeah. That's a loser argument.
No. I saw Scott Jennings. Look, that's exactly what I'm talking about. So you're bringing up perfectly legitimate points. Not only that, you're backing them up with evidence that you're citing, statistics and facts that you're citing. And this is Scott Jennings' reaction the whole time. Oh yeah, whatever. I already said Hamas. I win the argument. Israel. Are you saying Israel's not a saint? Oh, cancel her. That's what you look like, Scott Jennings. And you look like a stupid stooge for Israel. You look like you're like a desperate little, like he's got like his fancy clothes and things. And he's like, oh yeah, I already said Hamas. I'm running for Senate later. Send me money, AIPAC. Who cares? Israel murdered 62,000 people. The 83% of them are civilians. 18,000 at a bare minimum are children. Who cares? It's just Palestinians. Here in Washington, we don't care about human beings. All we care about is money. That's what Scott Jennings looks like. He looked like a despicable genocide supporter, which is exactly what he is.
Yeah, and don't make the mistake of thinking he cares about American kids either.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.